Hello everybody, I'm Grainificent, and in today's episode I will be talking about how to use the Minolta SRT101 film camera. So without further ado, let's get to it. So for the Minolta SRT101, let's start from the bottom. Here you can turn on and off your light meter or to test it. Of course, I keep forgetting to turn mine off, and as you see it's always on constantly. What you do is you press on here hard and you just rotate it to turn it off, or you turn it to BC, that's to test if the light meter is working, if the battery is good. When set to BC, the needle should be right there where it's not this one with that I'm moving now, just the needle lower. That needle, when you have your battery setting to BC, it should be right in that area of it, like it is here, and that tells you that the battery is good. And while we're at it, inside the screen, on the bottom below the viewfinder, you got your shutter speed setting, and the way you set proper exposure is when the light meter is turned on, when you change your shutter speed or your aperture, this needle will move depending on exposure. If the needle is under your round needle, that means you need to increase the shutter speed or the aperture in order to let in less light. And when the needle is up much higher than the round needle, that means you need to lower your shutter speed or lower your aperture in order to increase the amount of light you are receiving. For proper exposure, you move your settings until they align with the needle. That means that your exposure is right on according to this meter. And here we got the film release lever, and here we got the battery compartment. You just put something into those two holes to twist it open, or usually your finger should be enough to open up this battery compartment. And the battery looks something like this. Goes in, if you hold it like this, the bottom part goes in first, like this, just like that. And you close it back up with your thumb. And the batteries it uses are these. You can buy these Vine cell 1.35 volt mercury replacement battery. Replaces PX625 and PX13 batteries. So you can get a battery like this. I know that people change the electronics in here to adapt it to 1.5 volt or cell adapters. But if you have an originally non-modified camera, this battery will be working perfectly fine for you. And I got this battery for well over a year in here now, and it's still in perfectly good condition. I don't even know how long they last, so they are good and reliable batteries. So continuing, when you put in film inside, you can set this over here for it to tell you what kind of film you have inside. Don't matter what you set here, it's not gonna affect any of the exposures. That's just for your knowledge. And over here on the top, we got the crank clockwise to roll film back into the cartridge. And to open up the film back, you just raise this up and again, and it opens up the film back. Of course, to load film, we got that in another video, so we can make this video shorter. Remaining on the top here, you got a cold plate or a cold shoe. It's called that way because it doesn't have any electrical connections for the flash. So if you put a flash on here, you have to connect it to the flash sockets, one of the flash sockets over here. One is for a regular, more modern flash, and the other is for those older light bulb flashes. So on the top here, of course, this is the advanced lever, shutter release. And on the top here, shutter speed. You change the shutter speed by rotating this. And if you want to change the ISO, you have to lift this complete wheel, and in the screen inside there you set the aperture you want, just like that, and you lower the wheel back when you set the aperture you want. And of course here you got the counter that shows you what frame you're on from the front here. This is your timer, so when you pull this down and then you advance the shutter. If you just click the shutter release, you will just take a photo. If you want to use this self timer, you have to advance the shutter and click this button over here, this silver little button. You click that and the timer goes off. And it will take a photo itself, just like that. And to take off the lens, you have this little knob over here. You press it down, and pressing down, you turn the lens counterclockwise and you take it out. And of course, this camera also over here has a mirror lock up button. So you can lock up the mirror before you take a photo. If you're doing a slower exposure or something like that, you can lock it before you take the photo. So when you lock up the mirror to take a photo, it prevents mirror shake because it just moves the shutter without moving the mirror. And you turn it back to lower the mirror. And to put the lens back on, of course, the red dot aligns with this top red dot over here. If your red dot is missing, because that is a screw as well, you just gotta line it up with the top of the camera, just like that, and clockwise into position. And this over here, that's the depth of field preview. Of course, you can't use it until you wind the shutter. After you wind the shutter, you can use it. You press it once and it locks the lens to the aperture that you set it to, and it remains locked. And if you want to release it, you just press it in again, just like that. And now it's just letting in the light and all that, and it will use the aperture you set it to when taking the photo. So that, my friends, is how you use the Minolta SRT101 film camera. If this video was helpful to you, a subscribe would mean a lot to me. It shows me that I'm creating helpful content. So thank you for watching, my friends. See you in the next video. Take care.